Meeting to order. Roll call, please. Terry.
Brennan.
Here.
Chartrand.
Here.
Dahlhoff.
Here.
Halfway.
Here.
King.
Here.
Kulzer.
Here.
Morahan.
Here.
Mosier.
Here.
Fawcett.
Here.
Haybout.
Here. Everyone, please stand. We'll have an invocation. Heavenly Father, we ask your blessing upon the meeting this evening. We ask for prayers for better economic conditions for our farmers, our loggers. We ask with help with our health insurance costs, drug epidemic in our community. But despite all the problems we have, we are grateful for all the things we don't have. We don't have a government that's sending chemical weapons upon our own citizens. We don't have a government that's playing with nuclear bombs. We currently have some flooding, but nothing major. We have strong winds, but no major hurricanes. For all this, we are grateful. And finally, we have to keep in mind a couple people that we have recently lost. First one, Pat Wallace, former legislator, who served our board for two terms faithfully. And keep in mind Kenneth Hollister, father of Liz Swearington, who just passed away today. We have a moment of silence for them and anyone else that have been deceased in the past month. For this we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Now the pledge to the flag.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Legislators should have received a copy of the April 4th meeting minutes. Was there any corrections at this time? Okay, if not, they stand approved. Or the Rules and Legislation Committee for Rule 6, Terry.
The Rules and Legislation Committee has met and they recommend to waive the rules to act upon late resolutions this evening.
That's moved by Brian, second by Jerry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And at this time, we open our public hearing for comments on local law introduction number 2. The County of Lewis local law adopting the New York State Expedited Unified Solar Permit process for small-scale solar electric systems. Does anyone have any comment at this time?
Mr. Chairman, can I just make a statement?
Yes.
That everyone should know that after our last meeting, the clerk of the board forwarded a revised and final version of the introductory law to all the legislators on April 17th, and that is in compliance with the law to receive any revision before you vote tonight. And just to be clear, that the revision that we made after hearing comments from the community was to emphasize that this solar permit process only applies to those solar projects that would tie into the national grid or be a part of the NYSERDA program. All others that don't, if they don't fall into these eligible criteria, then they would follow whatever local government code there may be.
Thank you, Joan. Does anyone else have a comment at this time? Okay, the public hearing will remain open for another half hour or better, so I'll ask you again later. Privilege of the floor. Does anyone have any comment for privilege of the floor at this time? Okay, we'll move along. Presentation of communications and notices. Terry?
The Lewis County Friends of Hospice acknowledge the personal contribution in memory of former legislator Patrick Wallace. The board acknowledges receipt of resolutions from the Essex County Legislature urging state legislation to increase county share of DMV revenue and opposing an increase of New York State title fees from $50 to $75. And from the Greene County Legislature to support the repeal of the New York SAFE Act for upstate New York. And that concludes correspondence.
Thank you, Terry. And reports of county officers and departments, Terry.
Legislators have received copies of the County Treasurer's April report, the 425 Highway and Solid Waste Audit Reports, minutes of the April 19 Youth Bureau Advisory Board, April 11th Soil and Water Conservation District Board, and March 16 Planning Board minutes, and the 2016 Annual Report of Lewis County Ethics Board. You've also received copies of the apportionment of mortgage tax for the period October 1 of 16 through March 31 of 2017. The Director of Weights and Measures, James Richmeyer, has submitted the April monthly report to be placed on file with the Clerk of the Board. And that concludes report.
Thank you, Terry. And now we'll go to reports of standing committees, and we'll start out with Phil, taxation, elections, IT. Phil, you're really pumped up and ready to go tonight, I take it.
Oh man, am I. Time me, Larry. I'm going to be very brief tonight. Regarding real property, the new tax rolls are in, they're tentative. If you guys are like me, I always like to see what it is, because the increase in valuation means that it goes a long way to help us keep our tax rate stable. But the flip side of that is that they have to go through a lot of challenges, so it's real tentative. That's why they call it that. And I told you guys before that the governor had proposed in his budget that we would have to opt out of partial payment taxes, and that has been changed now to where we would have to opt in to partial payment taxes. So that essentially puts the decision back in the hands of the local people where it belongs. I will defer to Adam for a broadband update, but there was one thing that I wanted to say. Adam was out of town. I don't know what he was doing, but on behalf of Chairman Tayball, he wanted me to challenge Adam to an arm wrestling contest. If you could do the broadband, Adam.
Sure, that I can handle. Not too much to report on broadband. One thing, I talked to Jeff yesterday, they are getting ready to light up Copenhagen, the PBS tower. Now that's not one we were involved in, that's owned by Public Broadcasting, so he negotiated his own deal with them, but it still benefits Lewis County residents. So I know there's a lot of folks over that way that were excited about getting that one lit up. We had a conversation with him yesterday. Frank was kind enough to sit on a phone call with me. They had some questions about seeker and registering some of the individual repeater towers through the state of New York. So we gave them some guidance there that basically they'd have to go through the individual towns and villages to get kind of sign off on that. So that's kind of where we're at with it. Joan's finishing up the MOU. Once that's done, then they can kind of communicate with our engineers, tower engineers, to make sure that they can safely put their equipment in places that won't interfere with any of our 911 radio stuff. So now we're in the future. So that's it. That's the long and short of it.
Thank you, Phil and Adam. Go to Rocky, Social Service, Association. You.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a report here from the Youth Bureau. At the April 19th Youth Bureau Board meeting, the board approved of allocating the $5,000 in the 2017 Youth Project funds to the following applicants. Boy Scout Troop 162 from Lowville, with assistance in sending 24 Boy Scouts to summer camp, and they got $1,000. The Ike and Bike Program event, registration costs for Lewis County youth with disabilities to participate in the ICANN event, where the youth learns how to ride a two-wheel bike. They received $1,170. The Lewis County Cornell Cooperative Extension Wonder Wednesdays after-school program. This program was established for tweens, the 10 to 13 age range, with a focus on at-risk youth. Recent workshops included learning about technology by taking smartphones, tablets, and laptops apart, building Rube Goldberg machines, and learning about hydraulics. They received $800. The North Country Prenatal Perinatal Council to offer free babysitting courses in Lewis County for youth age 11 to 15 that includes pediatric CPR and first aid. This program is certified by the Red Cross. They received $1,430. Lewis County Amateur Hockey Association for the purchase of 2 youth goalie helmets. They received $600. The Youth Bureau elected to utilize the $5,000 in 2017 OCFS Youth Development Funds to be used for municipality-run summer recreation programs. This is a competitive application process. Applications are due to the Youth Bureau by May 12, 2017. And that completes my reports, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Rocky. Brian, County Officers, Veterans, Junkyard, HR.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the junkyard end, the review board had come up with some changes, and Ward and Joan did for our local law, so they're putting that together. That should possibly come up to vote next month, I do believe, or after a public hearing next month. So with some changes there, and what basically one of the biggest things is instead of a written complaint by a constituent here in Lewis County, warden them, if they see a violation, they will act on it. So that's one of the biggest changes there. So, and then some other little things that are coming up that have got to be ironed out complete. So, and then on the HR end, just the typical stuff. Everyone should have received their county vacancy and the position cards and all that. So, and I'd just like to thank everyone making this process through the interviews for the county manager and stuff as easy as it's been. We've all worked together. I thank you all for being involved like you had, and you too, Chris. Thank you. And that would be my report.
Thank you, Brian. Jerry, Courts and Law.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. United Radio and E.F. Johnson are working together to try to get the paging up the optimum area. We applied for that money for the grant. Excuse me, what we put in the first time state kicked the budget back, so we resubmitted one. I think it was the day before it's due, and we haven't heard back yet, see if they'll accept that one. And that's pretty much all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. Larry, Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll start off with a motion to award the bid to White's Farm Supply in the amount of $5,950 for a stump grinder for the Recreation, Forestry, and Parks Department. This will be a split between that department and the Highway Department. I'm not sure what the percentages are. $1487.50 from Highway or Capital Project or Capital Fund, and a balance of roughly $4,500 coming from the Trail Fund.
Okay, we have a motion by Larry, second by Craig. Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The business breakfast with Fort Drum Garrison Command was a large success. The next breakfast is June 13th at Boondocks in Lions Falls. We have ongoing discussions for pilots with 2 wind projects at this point. Joan is going to update us on a couple of issues that we have going on in the executive session. So that will be the end of my report for now, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Larry. Craig, Ways and Means, Buildings and Grounds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First off, there's a resolution in the packet. Transfer of funds in information technology, and there's a misappropriation appropriated amount here of $31.90 will be corrected to $27.10 and 32 cents. This appropriation was to do a study on our phone usage, our wireless phone usage. And this company provided a comprehensive study of how we used and where we could save. And their payment is the first year savings. So each year going forward, we can anticipate $2,710.32 in savings, thanks to Liz, who brought these people in to look at our phone service. So when that comes, Terry, we'll have to correct that amount. Second off, in Ways and Means, Buildings and Grounds, we had an extensive conversation in the committee regarding our physical campus and the needs, the building needs that have been addressed several times over the past years. And currently, we still have a need for DMV. We have issues with most of our buildings other than maybe the new courthouse. So with that, I want to make a motion that we put out the RFP, an opportunity to bring a strategic plan to this board for their approval.
Okay, we've got a motion by Craig, second by Dick. Discussion.
Could you just say a little bit more to bring you're gonna hire a company to do a strategic plan, is that what you said?
We're going to put out an RFP with your permission as a board to have a consultant offer us a concept on how to do a strategic plan for the next 5 to 10 years. Very comprehensive, spatial needs, and that does not mean you've thrown out what you have previously put in there for building plans up on the hill. This is a very comprehensive plan that looks at all the spatial needs. It looks at the condition of our buildings. It looks at the savings that can be taken forward, and it's a living document that is an action plan. If we do go forward, then this becomes our checklist, if you will, for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yes.
I think we missed it though, that once you do the RFP, we'll come back to the full board of legislators with the price and then ask to move forward.
Absolutely, yes.
Other questions for Craig? All in favor of Craig's motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you very much. Frank's worked diligently on the clean energy grant, and the last part of that to be eligible was a motion that'll be in the packet, I believe, tonight regarding the acceptance of the state plan of code on solar energy. So I think you'll see that in the packet. With that said, we're in pretty good standing to receive a $100,000 grant. The next thing that you'll see in the packet, or the next thing I want to bring up that'll be in the packet, we discussed the $1.6 million of surplus at the end of this year when Patty got done with the books. And it is the committee's recommendation, or mine, and that we take $1 million of that and set it aside for potential costs with the IGT. As we know, we've been receiving more from the state than our cost share goes up, and it could be as much as another $1 million, so we thought rather than scramble to look for that money at the end of the year, we'd set this aside. And there's also a resolution in there to allow Dr. Ellen Stillman of Cornell Cooperative Extension to operate a bee apiary on our land up off Stowe Street, outer Stowe Street in the wooded area. There seems to be a large interest in our constituents to learn about beekeeping. And as we all know, bees are diminishing in this country, so maybe it's a good thing. Also on our solar field, they're looking at November 17th, commencement of changeover. So they'll have construction completed. National Grid will have done their switchgear, whatever has to be done, and then we'll start benefiting from that solar field. And we're having a delivery of an electric vehicle on 05/01/17 this year, and it's not my golf cart. That's all. Thank you. Pardon?
That was yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday, but it didn't come yet.
So who's gonna utilize that?
We are, that's gonna be used by
What department?
the administration whenever we travel anywhere.
Bill's gonna break it in, driving back and forth to Harrison.
So
Not a chance.
no department being-
I would have to check, but I don't think it's being specifically assigned to a department. Liz, is that correct?
DSS.
Oh, it is gonna go to DSS? There's your answer.
How much does that cost?
I don't know how much that is.
Well, it's 75% reimbursed by DSS. Correct.
Yeah. And what the cost of the car is, I don't.
I'm not sure, do you know, Jenny, the cost of the car?
Frank, do you have any idea what it is?
I don't know the total.
We don't even know yet what it is.
Was it a Tesla?
It's
It's not a Tesla, I'm told.
It's a lease, this is a lease vehicle.
Yeah, so it's under the enterprise, right?
Right, yeah.
It's under the enterprise contract.
Jenny just said, I think, a Ford Focus.
That's what I heard, it was gonna be a Ford.
Greg, this was all part of that solar energy.
Right, agreement.
This grant application.
Clean energy,
Part of the
clean energy.
Clean energy.
Craig, could you explain it, if we go through all these steps, what that $100,000 grant would be for us, where it'd go towards?
Yes, well, I know that a part of it is going towards an upgrade to the heating systems at social services, and the other part goes to the maintenance garage down on the East Road.
Thank you.
But we don't even know if we're gonna get 100,000.
No, we don't. But we've met all the criteria and we have high expectations.
Probably other people too.
Pardon?
Probably other counties have too, that's the criteria.
Well, I guess we don't know that until they make a decision.
Okay. You done with your report then, Craig?
I am, thank you.
Thank you. Greg, transportation, solid waste.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I might as well start her out with two motions. One is to accept the bid for hot mix of Barrett Paving, Hanson, and Pave Right. We're gonna do it just like we've always done it, just accept them all, that way whoever's closest, saves us money that way. And the other, so I might as well do that one first.
Okay, motion by Greg, and second by Jerry. Discussion on first motion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Carried.
The second motion is to award the bid for all roadway markings to Seneca Pavement. They were a little bid. So,
Motion by Greg, second by Phil. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, solid waste, Pete came to the committee with, needs a part-time, wants to put a part-time employee on to cover a full-time employee going out for surgery, be out of work for an extended period. We see a problem with a part-time temporary person. He put the baler, the skid steer, and tin can magnet online with Auction International. The compost bags are in. Craig got a few of them. How'd that work for you?
That's good stuff.
Good stuff?
Cheap. And it's not Ollie's. Jeez. Ollie's is good stuff cheap, right? Never heard that ad?
Oh, okay. I was thinking the different.
So if anybody's looking for some compost, $2.50 a bag, and I guess it's good stuff. Had an open house up there, quite a few attended, and Honorable Jim Wright was there for Dank and handed us a check for $241,647.60.
Was that made out to you, Craig?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I thought so.
If it was, I wouldn't be here today.
Is that some of the reimbursement for
Yes.
listening to the?
Good part for their half of, or their 50% funding. There's more to come because that's only up to this date as far as the receipts. So, that out of, that's solid waste. Highways, they started sweeping, doing some bridge washing, and that's pretty much going on there. Tips money is about the same as what it was last year from Dave. And then I do want to make an announcement to the board during the meeting here to Carol Bush, who came out of retirement to fill a vacant position at Highway and Solid Waste for flexibility and dedication to get the job done and goes beyond our expectations, and she will be missed. They did find somebody to take that position, and so she could go back to retirement. Lucky girl. And that's the end of my minutes.
Any questions, Mayor?
Just one question. What was the rough number for the striping for it?
The
number for us is the yellow lines, the 15 millimeter, I think it was 380 something a mile. Is that what it was in there, Craig? Third, fourth line down?
Huh? The what? Center, oh, Edgen?
Center,
Center, yeah, it's $3.38 a mile.
338 a mile. It's up $5 from the last bid.
It's what?
It's up $5 from last year's bid.
338? Oh, 338 a mile?
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say, how's it up? 338 up $5.
Thank you.
Good. Any other questions for Greg?
Yeah.
Brian does.
Greg, I had heard from one of the employees of Solid Waste in Crogan, they've been having trouble with the door on that new trailer, the compacted trailer for the recyclables. Is anything mentioned to you about
Nope,
that?
there was nothing mentioned.
I had asked them, I mean, that's a new trailer and stuff, I don't know if there was a contract written for that or not, but they've been doing the work for themselves. I would think something like that would fall under a warranty or something.
I can ask that question to Pete. That's the new recycling trailer?
Yeah, I do believe that's a new recycling trailer.
In Crogan, though?
Well, no, we only use it in Marlboro because it isn't retrofitted for over to Crogan, so.
Brian, they did have a problem with that, it was stopping prematurely, so they weren't getting the full packing, but Pete called them back in and they corrected it. Now that was what he told us a month ago, maybe it's happening again, I don't know, but at one point in time it was corrected.
Yeah, I remember that too, Phil, you're absolutely right. They had a problem with the ram wasn't coming all, and they got it corrected.
Since then, the trailer's spreading the back of it,
Oh,
so they're having trouble.
The back door.
Yeah, because they retrofitted the back door. The back door, the doors swing open, the whole back door swings open, and they'll hang out this far, so they retrofitted it, so it will go all the way against the trailer. And apparently now the whole trailer is spreading when they compact, they're having a hard time with latches. So I was just curious about that. The employee couldn't answer that because he didn't know about it.
Jerry, question or comment?
I just have a question. Do we know what we're capable of carrying with that new trailer now as far as, going to the site that we
I think
waited?
Pete was saying 20 tons.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, double what he could.
That's over double what they were hauling on 50 yarder.
Yeah, double 13.5.
Are we done with Greg? Okay, we'll go to Dick for the hospital.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. The auxiliary has their annual uranium sale ongoing. Bids were supposed to be at the switchboard by May 1st, which was yesterday. Anybody in here interested, I'm sure if you get to the switchboard tomorrow morning bright and early, they'll take your bid yet, or your money for uranium. And this year, they're going to also offer herbs, sage, dill, parsley, basil, and oregano. We had Press Ganey look into the overall satisfaction of the hospital's inpatient trends for East Wing, OB, and ICU. And for the last 5 years, the trend has been positive and upward. And Mrs. Kovach adds there's been a lot of work done to stay connected to our patients and improve patient satisfaction. Joe Millard, who was serving for the skilled nursing facility. His last day is May 12th. He's going back to Carthage again. He was filling in until we could get a certified director for the nursing home. And we thanked him for all the hard work that he did for us while he was here doing that. There's a med-surg ICU project being discussed with the architects. Any of this board that's interested, the architect's been invited to the May 31st board meeting of the hospital. All of us are welcome to go and sit in and listen on that. It's just in the talking stages right now, but it would give you some good information on where we're going to go, where we may go with that. On the financial end of it, there was a gain of $3,021,611 versus a budgeted gain of $441,853. That's a good news, bad news. The good news is that's the money. The bad news is we paid half of it here because it was the IGT money. Good for the hospital. Liability to the county is $2,100,000 as of April 14th, and Patty, I believe that's down 100 by now. Volumes overall in the month of March were very strong, with the exception of acute admissions. No, I'm sorry, acute admissions were up. With the exception of observation admissions, they were about 10% below budget. Our days cash on hand, for those of you that follow this, is 102.3 days for the month of March versus a budget of 11.7. Again, that's due to us being able to book the money coming in from all the different mechanisms that are helping the hospital get through and pay their bills, meet their ends. We had a discussion from the clinic medical directors, Dr. Bohr and Dr. Tuttle Malone, on cardiovascular disease and depression screenings. And the short term out of this is our computer system is not capable of providing information that we're going to need going into the patient-centered care. So we're looking at about $1 million upgrade to Meditech. It's been discussed for about a year. So we are discussing more seriously now that we will upgrade from Meditech 6.0 to 6.1. And that'll include a module for the nursing home as well, so we can get all we need out of their reports too. And lastly, there's a resolution in here tonight for social worker assistance. Along with that, it was supposed to have said it's a 5-year position funded by hospice. And in 5 years, it'll be looked at again. If hospice continues to want to solve, it's funded again, it'll be funded again. Otherwise, it will expire after the 5 years. This is to, again, give better care and help to our elders. And that concludes my report.
Questions for Dick? Craig?
All right, Craig. Dick, you said that architects are being consulted about some type of expansion of the hospital?
Yes.
Just a comment, when you go to the board this time, maybe you could tell them we're doing an RFP for a strategic plan, and that they'd like to, and we decide to go forward, and they'd like to share the cost of that. Maybe we could include them, being that the county owns them.
Yeah, except
Rather than them going ahead with something that have they looked at the strategic?
yeah, they paid for this study about 5 or 6 years ago. They've already got the study that you proposed tonight, and I seconded. They've already got that study, and this was a piece of it.
Okay.
So we've already hired the architect to come up and do preliminary. So this is going to explain what their findings were for preliminary study. It's a fairly healthy number, so I'd encourage everybody to come and listen to the presentation and ask questions that you've got. Not going to know yet, but you've got to look at it before you start.
Yep.
Bill?
What are the payment days?
Payment days are, the bill payment days, they're at 47.
We're at 47?
Yeah.
I got another question. How are the clinics doing as far as in the black? You know,
That wasn't there, but I'll find that out for you report
Other
I
questions?
would say the total hospital overall is ahead of schedule.
That's because of the funding stream that they have. That's nothing to do with it. I'm asking how the clinics are, because last I knew they weren't in the black for a long time.
but the clinics are a piece of the overall operation. The
Yeah, but
overall
they still,
operation
they're
is $3
losing
million
money.
ahead.
But if they're still losing money, I'd like to know. They're still losing money.
Individually?
Yep.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Well, that's hard to quantify.
It's gonna be a hard number to
You
get.
know, they're sending stuff to the hospital, x-ray, blood tests, everything else that probably doesn't show on the clinic's balance sheet.
I'll get a number.
I would agree.
This there.
They're feeding
The data's
us.
there. I've been there, we've looked at the data before. They know whether they're losing or making.
Well, like Larry said, you don't know 100% because you don't have a way to quantify to the dollar amount all the ancillary services through the labs, through the CT scans and all that stuff that we get from
Then
them.
what's the number on the sheet that you get at the board meeting, the hospital board?
The clinic visits,
Yeah.
number of
It talks
visits.
the number of visits and stuff.
It talks dollars too.
It does, but it doesn't include everything, is what I'm saying. It includes the dollars that they took in versus the dollars they billed, but it doesn't take in the ancillary services that you get on top of that. If you didn't have the clinics, you'd lose millions of dollars worth of income that you're coming in. That's what I'm saying. It's all part of the deal.
You'll still get back to
Yeah,
there with some.
yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dick. Andrea, Public Health, Community Service.
Okay, for public health, the approved state budget may affect the physically handicapped children's program as it is posed at 95% reduction for the non-mandated program. The state budget reflects a reduction from approximately $3.3 million down to $170,000. Lewis County appropriations have typically been $12,000 to $18,000 a year. The state pays 50% of the program expenditures. Penny is unaware of if are offsetting appropriations within another state budget line item, and parents contribute based on income. Most of the care is for orthodontia. The state also reduced cancer services appropriation by 22%, but we haven't been informed of the local impact. Penny distributed the 2017 Community Health Improvement Plan Progress Report. The Workshop Wellness Committee for the county will be meeting this month for the first time. And the task will include environmental assessment of each county building for overall health and wellness. Worksite wellness will be to increase employee health and wellness, increase productivity, reduce employee absences, and hopefully reduce healthcare costs. Okay, for community services, May is Mental Health Month. Each year, millions of Americans face the reality of living with a mental health condition. 1 in 5 Americans will be affected by a mental health condition in their lifetime, and every American is affected or impacted through their friends and family. Our community gets help with their mental health concerns from Transitional Living Services of Northern New York, Behavior Health and Wellness, Northern Regional Center for Independent Living, Rubisol and Knudsen Associates, Carthage Behavior Health, Samaritan Medical Health, and several private practitioners. And for events, NERCL is hosting the 11th annual Lewis County Mental Health Walk at the Lava Fire Hall on Thursday, May 11th from 4 to 7 p.m. This will include a walk through town, reading a proclamation by Chairman Mr. Table, speaker and poetry readers, dinner and music. Lewis County Suicide Prevention Coalition, Lighting Up the Dark with Kindness, second annual walk will be Friday, May 5th. That will be this Friday at the Lewis County Fairgrounds.
Registration will be from 6:30 to 7 p.m. Family-friendly activities start at 6:30. The Moose live broadcasting from 7 to 9. Lamont's food truck from Town of Watson will be there. The Behavior Health and Wellness Clinic asked their clients to create artwork for a client art show. And are you going to introduce her?
Certainly, yes, because we are all so concerned about the opioid abuse that's going on within our community. It's a subject I think we ought to keep forefront, and hopefully there'll be some progress made. I just don't want to see it die, what we're trying to do. So I've asked Pat to keep on giving us reports as often as she can, or would like to. Any updates or anything you can tell us, news, Pat, so you have the floor if you'd like it.
All right, from back here?
Come a little closer, I guess.
Come a little.
But
not too close,
Maybe in the center where we can all hear.
All right.
So you want a mic?
Sure. Thank you.
All you have to do is hold down on that, all right? Just hold down on that when you want to talk.
So I thought it'd be kind of important to give the information that I initially shared when we met with Liz, Andrea, Mike, Arlene. I think that was it. But anyway, just kind of an opportunity to give some education and information to maybe those in the audience that maybe don't necessarily have an understanding of what all maybe is going on with people in our community. The information I'm kind of sharing is the stuff I've gathered over 25 years working in the field, and it has been a privilege and honor to gather that information. Just want to share that addiction is a chronic medical condition. It's a condition like diabetes or hypertension that requires treatment. Effective treatment really does work. A lot of times I've been hearing recently that treatment doesn't work. And I've certainly seen people recover from their addiction and really lead sober and contributive lifestyles. Alcohol and drugs kind of fall in different categories. They fall into like depressants, sedatives, stimulants, hallucinogens, for example. And each of those drug categories kind of impacts the bodies a little differently. And it affects you when you're under the influence. When you are using that long term, it affects you physically in different ways. Let's see. The progression of the disease can really be identified as early, middle, and late. And when a person is in early stage of addiction, the person might report blackout drinking. It may report getting up in the morning and taking a drink just to kind of take the edge off. Person in middle symptoms, this is really where that time it hits your social life. Loss of your marriage, loss of your family, could be your children have been taken away. You could be arrested on probation. And when a person is in the late stages of addiction, this is where it really becomes physical in nature, meaning that you have high blood pressure, you might develop cancer. If you stop using that substance, you're going to be extremely uncomfortable and sometimes require hospitalization. So when I talk about the progression of the illness, a person that has an addiction to marijuana and alcohol, that could take 10 or 20 years for that person to go through that progression. When you're talking about methamphetamines or heroin, that could be as little as 2 to 4 years, where a person progresses that quickly through the disease. I guess a couple points that I think that are kind of maybe important to make is that, and I also want to quantify this by saying that the numbers I'm kind of speaking on are probably 4 years old. That's really when I worked last in the service of addiction. So typically on average, when a person attempts to get sober and stay sober, they've really made 8 to 9 attempts at doing that over the course of their time. So they have a period of abstinence, they really work a recovery program, and for whatever reason have a relapse. And I'm not saying that everyone does that, but that's just on average. Some other things that I think that are important to know is that in order for a person to go to substance abuse treatment, it's 100% voluntary on their part. They cannot be forced into treatment. They have to voluntarily agree to treatment, but that doesn't mean to say that somebody isn't suggesting that there won't be a consequence if they don't go to treatment. And I'm going to pick on probation and parole. We've certainly maybe have encouraged someone to go or face the consequences of incarceration. People that are in substance abuse treatment are protected by federal confidentiality laws, and those are extremely stringent, meaning that if a person enters treatment, it could be your spouse, it could be your kid, and if that person has not given specific permission, no one can talk to that spouse about their person in the treatment center. And that is something that I've really never ever seen anybody try to violate, because nobody really wants to go to prison to violate that. And I think the other thing too that I think is kind of difficult to maybe wrap your mind around, especially when you see people that have passed away because of a drug overdose, is that while it is obviously and apparent to everybody around the person who has the substance abuse problem, that person doesn't necessarily see how problematic it is for them. And I think that's probably part of the struggles for families and their significant others, is it's so obvious to everybody else, and you can't convince that person that they need to either seek treatment or try to get some help. And there isn't one approach to treatment. Everybody kind of gets there differently. If there was a magic wand, I think somebody put it out there, but I've seen people get sober because they went to AA. I've seen people get sober because they went to church. I've seen people get sober because they, got healthy. There isn't one format, and it's really individualized based on the person. But I guess I just want to be able to communicate that while it seems pretty dark and frustrating right now, that there really is hope, and people do get help.
Brian, question.
Yeah, Pat, I had a concern, and I know we have multiple agencies here in Lewis County that go to the school districts and stuff. And I think it was brought up at one of the Youth Bureau meetings because the high school students are the board, and they mentioned that they're getting hammered from all these different directions. It's almost like after the second or third group that comes in and talks to them, they basically block it out. And then the interesting thing that I heard that one of them said is that the ones that need the help are the ones that aren't being reached, because they know ahead of time that you might be there, or Mountain View or like that. They skip school. And I asked my son that too. When I heard that, I went home and asked my 16-year-old son that, and he says, yes, it's exactly what's going on when Mountain View or you might come in, or Credo or someone like that, or the sheriff's office. So I'm just wondering if that has ever been brought up because I know we have community meetings where all of us meet together, and I forget what the name of it is, but I should know.
Okay.
I just didn't know if there's maybe some brainstorming that could go on, maybe work with the school districts that they're popping things, and then that way you can reach these children that are actually the ones that are in need. I mean, and I know it's good that we educate everyone, but the ones that seem to really need to hear what you're saying is they aren't being reached.
And perfect timing, because actually next Tuesday after the Community Services Board, the agency directors are meeting with school superintendents.
Okay.
So I put that little note, and perfect timing.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And there was an opening ceremony for Credo Recovery Center. Can you just touch on that a little bit?
Absolutely. So last week there was an ribbon cutting at two agencies in Watertown. One agency was the Pivot, who's doing the Anchor Recovery Center. The second agency was Credo, who had the ribbon cutting for the opiate treatment program. Both of those programs serving Lewis County. The reason both ribbon cuttings were done is that they were able to invite and get the commissioner for Oasis. Pivot is not open yet, but they wanted to take advantage of the commissioner's time and allowed that tour to happen. Pivot Anchor Recovery is going to be a service that's new to Oasis. They are going to be eventually open 7 days a week, and essentially it's a place for people with any type of addiction, whether it be family, whether it be a person, whether it be substances, eating, shopping, that they can go, also network with other people that are trying to be sober, try to learn some skills to be sober. It's just kind of a safe environment for them to go into. They will be having a community open house when they officially open and get their furniture. So I'll notify everybody that that's available. The opiate treatment program at Credo has been open since this late summer, early fall. They're currently serving 70 people. Well, these are kind of fussy, aren't they?
Yeah, they're sensitive.
Anyway, and it was a very nice tour of the facility. They've really done a lot of modifications. There's a lot of regulations that have to be in compliance for them to provide that service. A lot of security, safety for the patients and the staff, and they're continuing to serve their other outpatient persons. At this point in time, again, people have to travel from Lewis County to Watertown, and we are looking at what other options we have available to us to get maybe some regular transportation out there.
Thank you, Pat. And thank you, Andrea. We're very fortunate you two work so well together.
And I also, I mean, I'm glad you said that. I also want to thank everyone in the room, but I especially want to thank the legislatures, Brendan Moorhan, Hathaway Fawcett, Michelle Ledoux, Frank Pace, and Liz for the support that I've been given during all this. There's a lot of passion and a lot of caring in this county. And this is not something that I experienced so much in Jefferson County. And it's something special. And I just want to appreciate everybody's support and insight. And did I say you?
Once is enough.
I just would like to tell you that we think you're doing great with this, and we really appreciate it. And I'd like to relay on to you that, as you know, when that recovering addict spoke to us, she was just so incredibly compelling. And there was a lot of students from Harrisville there, from the high school, and parents. And they were just incredibly impressed with that. And they thought, man, if she could go everywhere, you know, because she's been there. You know, you can listen to the doctors or listen to me or whatever, you know, but when somebody's been there, that was very compelling to them. It just really just shows what you're up against in trying to combat this, you know. So we really appreciate your efforts. You did say,
and this was sad in Oakville. I ran into the gal that made the speech about her issues in the hall here today, and she's still doing well. So another month has gone by.
that is really great to hear, Larry, because she just did a wonderful job, and I know it had to have been wicked hard for her, but I'm glad to hear that.
Okay, moving along. For my report, give you a few notes of my travels. Got very little notice, but I got a call that the governor would be in Lake Placid for a budget presentation April 14th. I attended that, and as usual, we were treated very well with front row seats. But I think interesting to me was the conversation I had with Basil Sagos. He's the state DEC commissioner. He pointed out how he frequently travels through Lewis County to visit in-laws in Jefferson County. So I suggested that he stop for a visit sometime, and he said he'd love that. So I think if anyone's aware of anything going on, something special or whatever, we should personally invite him to stop by and just, he was particularly interested in the craft project. So just to keep in mind.
Should have had him come for the snort run.
We'll take them on an ATV ride.
Well, you know, the options are there, so if somebody's got some good suggestion, I'd be glad to contact him again. I think he's just waiting for an invite. April 18th, many legislators attended the Elise Stefanik Coffee Hour, went over very well in Lyons Falls. April 25th, Craig Brennan and myself attended the Clean Energy Lobbying Days in Albany, sponsored by the Alliance for Clean Energy. And they're very organized. You go around and see senators and assemblymen and state your case. And me and Craig spoke highly of our projects in Lewis County, especially the biomass and what it meant to our county. And we also had a chance to talk with our local representatives about the JCC project. So it was a good trip. And Andrea mentioned the mental health walk, the 11th, and also Dick didn't mention the nursing home week coming up May 15th, where we'll do a proclamation. That's it for my report. Okay, go on to the treasurer's report, or county manager's report first, Liz.
I just want to mention a couple of things. I did get an email earlier in the day from, sorry, that's bad. I did get a note from the Commissioner Jones that there was also a reduction in our foster care block grant. It's down about $121,000 year over year, from $495,000 to $373,000. So we're obviously seeing some changes in behavior. Tyler payroll cutover is still on track for the end of June. And I just want to say thank you for everybody for your kind words and support about my father. I will mention he was 94 years old. He was a lieutenant commander on the USS Revenge, which was the lead minesweeper into Tokyo Harbor ahead of the USS Missouri for the surrender of Japan. So,
Wow, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Patty, treasurer's report.
I can't top that, Liz.
I guess not.
Yes. Just going to give some balances for special legislative contingency, $395,000. Contingency, $362,698. Capital data processing, $125,163.02. Capital equipment, highway balance, $239,362.59. County, $342,681. Sales tax first quarter, we were up, so we're at $2,413,719. We'll see what the second quarter brings, hopefully still up. Hospital repayment, as Dick says, they are on time. And then internal service fund, so far not doing so well this year. So we are down $284,000. And just wanted to mention, even with Tyler Munis, was able to submit the state AUD, so it didn't bring me down. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Patty? Thank you, Patty. And at this time, we'll go back to our public hearing to ask for comments. Were there any further comments regarding local law number 2 regarding the unified solar permit? Any comments at this time? Okay, I'll announce the hearing closed. We move on to the report of the Ways and Means Committee for Rule 7.
The Ways and Means Committee reports they've examined the claims presented for payment in the total amount of $973,599.27 and recommend that they be audited and allow for the amounts claimed.
Moved by Brian, second by Larry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And we do resolutions. Our first resolution would be one that hasn't been printed, but it's in memory of Pat Wallace. So Terry, I'd ask you to read it at this time.
Whereas Patrick Wallace of Lowville has recently departed this life on April 16, and he was chosen by the electorate to serve on the Lewis County Board of Legislators effective January 1 of 2008 through December 31, 2013 as the District Number 5 representative. And during his tenure, he diligently researched issues to facilitate knowledgeable decisions, particularly those issues of interest to his constituents, while always mindful of Lewis County's entire citizenry. It seems proper for us as friends, acquaintances, and members of this Board of Legislators to record our recognition and appreciation for the sincere, generous, and valuable services rendered by our former colleague, Patrick Wallace. That is an enduring record and mark of respect to his memory, a true friend and honorable, able public official. This resolution shall be printed in the official record of the proceedings of the Board of Legislators of the County of Lewis, and a copy thereof forwarded to the family of Patrick Wallace.
Moved by Phil, second by Jerry. Any comments? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is carried. Next resolution.
Resolution is auditing and allowing the claims in the amount of $973,599.27.
Moved by Larry, second by Brian. Roll call vote, please.
Brennan,
Yes.
Chartrand,
Yes.
Dahlhoff,
Yes.
Hathaway,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Coulter,
Yes.
Mowerhand,
Yes.
Mosher,
Yes.
Fawcett,
Yes.
Tabo.
Yes.
173 is adopting and otherwise treating local law number 3, the expedited unified solar permit process for small-scale solar electric systems.
Lost my page. Moved by Craig, second by Jerry. Discussion. Roll call vote.
Brennan,
Yes.
Chartrand,
Yes.
Dahlhoff,
Yes.
Fawcett,
Yes.
Hathaway,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Coulter,
Yes.
Mowerhand,
Yes.
Mosher,
Yes.
Tabo.
Yes.
174, appropriate funds, community services.
Moved by Brian, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To set a public hearing to obtain public input with reference to community development block grant.
Moved by Jerry, second by Larry. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing agreement between Lewis County Cornell Cooperative Extension and Dr. Elwin Stillman to maintain a bee house of the county on the county Stowe Street property.
Moved by Dick, second by Larry. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Amending compensation with reference to county clerk.
Moved by Rocky, second by Jerry. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To transfer funds, county clerk.
Moved by Larry, second by Jerry. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Carried.
Just a comment on that if I could.
Pardon, Craig?
That is all to put a computer in out at DMV, so those people coming from outside the area that have not registered with the snowmobile club can do it instantaneously, so they can save some money on the registration. So I applaud Linda for putting that in if she's here. I think that's a great idea.
Thank you. Next resolution.
In support of New York State Senate Bill S5549 to ensure continued viability of the state's existing large-scale renewable energy resources.
Moved by Larry, second by Craig. Discussion. All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Appointing member to Lewis County Fair Housing Task Force.
Moved by Larry, second by Dick. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To transfer funds machinery account.
Moved by Craig, second by Rocky. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To transfer funds highway department.
Moved by Craig, second by Dick. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To transfer funds information technology.
Moved by Brian, second by Larry. Discussion?
Is this the one you're gonna?
This is the one that needs a correction on the amount, Terry? So do we do that by motion, or do you just,
Yes, motion to amend the amount to, what is it?
2007-10-32.
$2,710.32, and I'll make that motion?
Been moved by Craig, second by Rocky. Discussion on the amended motion to amend. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Do we need another motion?
Yes, to approve the whole resolution.
Okay, we need moved by Craig, second by Larry. Any discussion on the amended motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you,
Carried.
Phil.
Appointing members to Labor Management Safety Committee.
Moved by Larry, second by Dick. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing agreement with Clark Patterson Lee to provide professional services in preparation of a consolidated funding application for Central Regional Water Study.
Moved by Larry, second by Craig. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing agreement between Jefferson Lewis Workforce Development Area, Pratt Northam Careers Here Program and Probation.
Moved by Jerry, second by Larry. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Amending compensation plan with reference to probation department.
Moved by Jerry, second by Rocky. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing an agreement between Public Health and New York State Department of Health for rabies program.
Moved by Rocky, second by Andrea. Discussion?
Rocky, do you know what this, is this for rabies bait drop, or what exactly does it do?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Andrea, I thought it was.
I don't really know. Do you know, Liz? I'm sorry.
It looks like it.
Rabies. That's what it looks like to me too.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
They're asking if this is.
I was just curious if it was for a bait drop, or it was administrative, or what the money actually
I
covered.
don't know. I'll send any note.
Other questions? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Providing comment to the Department of Conservation on its development of the recreation management plan for the Krogan Track Conservation Easement in Krogan and Watson.
Moved by Larry, second by Phil. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Appropriate funds, Sheriff's Department.
Moved by Craig, second by Jerry. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing an agreement between Department of Social Services and Cooperative Extension.
Moved by Rocky, second by Jerry. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing an agreement between DSS and Lewis County Opportunities for Homeless Apartment Initiative.
Moved by Rocky, second by Andrea. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To transfer funds, Social Services.
Moved by Rocky, second by Jerry. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Amending compensation plan with reference to Solid Waste Department.
Moved by Jerry, second by Larry. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing renewal agreement between the county and Flack Broadcasting Group for
Moved by Larry, second by Rocky. Discussion. Bill?
You gonna do the commercials, Larry?
Yes, sir. You're included.
Jerry?
It'll take more than 60 seconds then.
You're the voice.
2 minutes, 30 seconds, your report, by the way.
Is that from senior
It's gonna be to advertise stuff that we have going on in the county.
It's a continuing contract renewal for the advertising the buses.
Other comments, questions? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
to transfer funds, IGT.
Moved by Dick, second by Phil. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Phil, you want to comment before we...
I was just going to applaud the effort by Ways and Means and Liz to do that.
Anybody want to change their vote?
It was the treasurer's idea.
Okay.
I kind of figured maybe Patty had an influence in that. I'm sorry, I should have said you first, actually, Patty.
Okay, no one opposed? Resolution is carried.
Approving modification of youth services funding for program year 2015.
Moved by Rocky, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried.
To transfer funds, Workforce Investment Act.
Moved by Rocky, second by Jerry. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Reappointing members to the Youth Bureau Advisory Board.
Moved by Rocky, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Amending compensation plan with reference to Lewis County General Hospital.
Moved by Dick, second by Larry. Discussion.
This is the one that's funded by hospice.
I have a question on that. Do they become a county employee? It's funded by hospice, but do they become a county employee
No,
with county benefits?
Yeah, they're a hospital employee.
Okay.
Hospice is...
Hospice is not a county agency, though.
but does
They're given money.
hospice fund the whole payroll and benefits and everything?
Hospice is under the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Chan Hospice. They are under the hospital.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? All in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, recreation trail maintenance.
By Larry, second by Jerry. Discussion. All in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To create and appropriate funds for student worker program.
Moved by Craig, second by Brian. Discussion. All in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Other business. How many people in this room wondered why Adam gets his own flag down there?
I wondered that myself.
Somebody can help explain it then, maybe. Liz, could you?
So Adam, first of all, I'd like to say Lewis County salutes Adam Zaire, 2017 Team USA powerlifter. Adam was selected to the USA team to compete under the International Powerlifting Federation, which has a world competition in classic bench pressing. Adam competed in the open class at 66 kilograms, 145.5 weight class. On his second lift, he successfully benched 363 pounds. He came in third in his weight class, and by doing so, added 9 points to Team USA's total. Team USA amassed enough Team Nation points to come in second in the overall tournament. Without Adam, they may not have achieved that great standing. Congratulations, Adam.
want to
demonstrate with anybody?
No, I'm all taking a little break for a while. Thank you,
He
everybody.
can do it.
Thank you.
Good job.
Good job, Adam. Other business, we have some proclamation, a proclamation.
Proclamation, we have, I'm going to read the proclamation to declare May as Mental Health Month. Essential to everyone's overall health and well-being. All Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives, and prevention is an effective way to reduce the burden of mental illnesses. There is a strong body of research that supports specific tools that all Americans can use to better handle challenges and protect their health and well-being. Mental illnesses are real and prevalent in our nation. With early and effective treatment, those individuals with mental illness can recover and lead full, productive lives. Each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen shares the burden of mental illnesses and has a responsibility to promote mental health, wellness, and support prevention efforts. Michael Table, on behalf of the Board of Legislators, proclaims May 2017 is Mental Health Month in Lewis County. He calls upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools in Lewis County to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental illnesses at all stages, and especially before stage 4. I have another proclamation for Foster Parent Recognition Month. The family, serving as the primary source of love, identity, self-esteem, and support, is the very foundation of our communities and our nation. In Lewis County, there are children and youth in foster care being provided with a safe, secure, and stable home, along with the compassion and nurture of a foster family. All young people in foster care need a meaningful connection to a caring adult who becomes a supportive and lasting presence in their lives. Foster, kinship, and adoptive families who open their homes and hearts and support children whose families are in crisis play a vital role in helping children and families heal and reconnect, thereby launching young people into successful adulthood. Dedicated foster families frequently adopt foster children, resulting in a greater need for more foster families. There are numerous individuals, public and private organizations who work to increase public awareness of the needs of children in and living in foster care, as well as the enduring and valuable contribution of foster parents and the foster care system is only as good as those who choose to be part of it. Michael Table, Chairman of the Board of Legislators, declares May as Foster Parent Recognition Month and urges all citizens to come forward and do something positive that will help change a lifetime for children and youth in foster care. I further recognize and thank Lewis County foster parents for their commitment and dedication to our foster children. And the only other announcement I have is the chairman has reappointed members to the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy Committee: Arlie Rice, Michael Giacondo, Terry Tisch, Cheryl Schenkel, Randy Schell, and Paul Mooney.
Thank you, Terry. And finally, our attorney has requested an attorney-client privilege session to update on the City of Rome lawsuit, and will need executive session to discuss potential property acquisition, update on labor negotiations, and matters leading to a specific appointment. Phil, question first.
Yeah, can I just make a comment before we do that?
Sorry, Phil, yeah, other business?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
I just wanted to make a comment that, as you know, up in my neck of the woods, like the village line of Harrisville is the line with St. Lawrence County as well. That's how close we are, and the town of Pickering. And yesterday's storm spared Diana, but hammered Pickering. And there was an awful lot of physical damage, trees, structures, and that type of thing. But the good Lord spared the people. And I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Phil. Did anyone else have any other business before we go into executive session? Okay, we'll have a motion to go into executive session by Craig, second by Larry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will be in executive session in 5 minutes.
Mini break?
5-minute break.